let's be honest here. Most leadership training programs skip over the most important thing, and that is you. It skips over how you feel, how you think, and how you show up under pressure. These are, we learn how to master different frameworks. We learn how to put together strategy slide decks, but when do we learn about emotional regulation and presence and inner steadiness? So in today's video, I want to talk about something that might surprise you just a little bit, and that is yoga for leadership. And I'm not talking about movement. I'm not talking about going to a yoga class at your local yoga studio and all that sort of woo-woo things that you might think come with yoga. So stay with me. Stay with me if you're like, oh, Heather's going a little woo here. Stay with me here, okay? So what I want to do is talk about some of the things that we can bring from yoga into our leadership practices. So these are going to be things like healthy mindset. If you're listening to my podcast, I have a whole healthy mindset reset sub-series on my podcast. We talk about nervous system regulation and just how to return to grounded leadership in this just really overly hyper-connected world. If you're new here, my name is Heather Monthie. I make videos and I write about mindful strategies for high performers in a hyper-connected world. So welcome to my channel. I recently wrote an article on my blog where I shared some research that shows that there is a strong link between a regular yoga practice and higher scores in authentic leadership. These are going to be things like self-awareness, ethical decision-making, emotional clarity, and transparent communication. So when I'm talking about mindfulness and mindful leadership, what I'm talking about are the things that you do for yourself internally to show up for others as a strong leader, okay? So we can think of authentic leadership and mindful leadership in some of the same ways here. So let's break this down, why this it matters to you as a high-performing leader. Whether you are in a leadership position by title or you have influence over something, maybe you don't have a leadership title, but you certainly have influence over something at work, something at home, your family, something. You certainly have influence over something. So the first thing I want to talk about here is how yoga trains your nervous system. So most of the time, we are operating in this chronic fight or flight state. It's just due to this digital overload. It's the constant pressure, constant decision-making, constant Slack pings and emails going off, and your phone is buzzing and your watch is buzzing and all of these things. So oftentimes we're in this like chronic fight or flight state. And we might not even know it. You might not even realize that you're in this state. And so yoga can help activate your parasympathetic nervous system. This is your calm state. This is your rest and digest. And you can do this through breath, through movement, through intentional focus. And I've been talking a lot on my podcast lately about taking 3 deep breaths before you click the join the meeting button on Zoom, or before you reply to that email. Everybody knows that email, right? And just taking 3 deep breaths. It doesn't take that long to do it. And so that's something that's certainly going to help you activate the parasympathetic nervous system to help bring you out of that chronic fight or flight state. So your result here is going to be more clarity, emotional steadiness, and the ability to respond instead of reacting, okay? So in any situation that you might be in, things get heated, things get tough. This is going to help you to respond rather than react. Point number 2, authentic leadership starts from within. So when I'm talking about mindful leadership, in this research article, Dr. Leila Nadiri talks about authentic leadership. When I'm talking about mindful leadership, it's how we are showing up for ourselves, coming from within. We're turning within to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves to be present for the others that need us, okay? So when Dr. Leila Nadiri, she did this study, and she looked at leaders who practice yoga 4 or more times per week. And in authentic leadership, they scored higher in self-awareness, internalized moral perspective, balanced decision-making, and relational transparency. So these are traits that help build trust, retention, and performance, not just from yourself, but also from your team. So it's not this like authenticity is kind of this like big buzzword on the internet right now about people just needing to show up as their true authentic self. But it is certainly a practice skill. It takes a lot of effort and intentional focus. Uh, Saying to yourself, I'm going to show up as myself. And yoga is one of those few tools that's really going to help you cultivate authentic leadership, mindful leadership from the inside out. And number 3, yoga's mental fitness. It's not just stretching. So sometimes people say like, I can't go to yoga because I'm not flexible. Well, that's part of yoga is helping with your flexibility, but you don't have to be flexible to do yoga. That's why we go to yoga, right? So oftentimes yoga gets dismissed as it's just this physical movement. It's just a stretching class, but it's certainly much more than that. And it is mental training in disguise. So for every mindful transition throughout your day, every breath that you hold, every quiet moment, it's a rep. It's a mental fitness rep for focus, for emotional regulation, and cognitive clarity. So we're not talking about doing things like handstands and the splits in the boardroom. That's certainly not what I'm talking about here. Although that could be fun. That could be a fun thing to do, right? We all have goals. But it's all about accessing a higher level of leadership performance through embodying these practices. And number 4, yoga helps you to lead yourself first. And this is what I'm talking about when I mean mindful leadership or mindful strategies for high performers, that this is the idea that you lead yourself first, okay? You can't lead others when you're disconnected from yourself. If you are just constantly in this chronic fight or flight state, you're constantly reacting versus responding. You're doing all of those things. You're just kind of ping-ponging through life. You can't lead others that way. And yoga helps you to create that pause. It's a pause that you might not get elsewhere. It's that intentional 3 breaths before you click the join button on the Zoom meeting, or the 3 breaths before you start typing up an email, right? It's that space to realign yourself. And so if you are you know that you're this person, you're this high achiever, you're super ambitious, you like to get the things done. This is where it helps you to regain authority over your own energy. This is you taking control back over your own energy, feeling drained at the end of the day, feeling like you're just ping-ponging all over the place, playing whack-a-mole, things like this. This practice will help you to regain control over your energy. So let's dive into some of the questions that you might have about yoga for leadership. So you might be asking how yoga is different from other leadership or mindset tools. So can you get the same benefit from journaling, therapy, or leadership coaching? And absolutely, journaling, therapy, leadership coaching, these are all very powerful tools, and I personally recommend them. In fact, I actually talk about this a little bit more in my podcast and on my blog and things like this. And so what makes yoga different, though, is that it's not just cognitive, okay? It's somatic. It's working through your body and the nervous system, not just the mind. So it's that mind-body connection. So whether you're under stress as a leader, your nervous system is often in that fight or flight mode, and yoga is going to give you those real-time tools through breath, through movement, through stillness to help you regulate your internal state, okay? So it's the difference between knowing that you need to stay calm during a crisis and training your body to actually stay calm when it happens, okay? So journaling might help you to reflect afterwards. Yoga is going to help you to respond in the moment with steadiness, with presence, and with clarity. Question number 2, how do I apply this in a real leadership situation? So let's talk about a few examples about how you might apply this. So think about times that you might have to give tough feedback. So yoga is going to help you to anchor into your breath and into your body so that you approach that conversation with presence, not anxiety. Giving tough feedback is a very difficult conversation to have. And by being present, you're more likely to listen fully, speak clearly, and avoid that emotional reactivity. Maybe you're in a situation where you're leading change in your organization, in your home, in your church, in your community, whatever it might be. Yoga will help train your ability to stay centered during discomfort. So that is a skill that is essential when you're managing things like resistance, ambiguity, or even your own self-doubt. And maybe you're managing a high-stress team. So if you're regulated, your team is going to feel it. You're going to model calm. You create that psychological safety for your team, not just by what you say, but by how you show up. So the key of this is the more you train your nervous system on the mat, on your yoga mat, the more it's going to show up for you off the yoga mat in meetings and conflict, conversations, and decision making. Question number 3, how can you integrate this into your leadership development plan without looking too woo-woo to your team? Okay. That's a really good question, and it's one I hear a lot. So here's the reframe. Don't lead with yoga, lead with the outcomes. Talk about things like improving emotional regulation, clarity, stress resilience, because that's exactly what yoga helps strong leaders build. Okay. So you can use terms like mind body performance, nervous system training, somatic regulation, cognitive control under pressure. These are all things that yoga can help you with as a leader. So these are all things that are rooted in neuroscience. It's not new agey language or anything. And they resonate within leadership circles. So you don't have to go full headstand in a meeting. Like I said earlier, you're not doing headstands on the splits in a boardroom. But again, this can look like this: a 5-minute breath reset before meetings, even a 5-breath reset, a short stretch during your workday, and learning how to recognize your own stress signals and then shifting them intentionally. Question 4. Any tips for introducing this to a corporate or skeptical environment? And yes, this first thing that I always want to say is meet people where they are, okay? So again, instead of calling it yoga, call it a focus reset, a leadership clarity session. Use the language that aligns with your team's goals. Things like communication, managing decision fatigue, handling pressure, digital detox, things like this, okay? So you can start small, start with a 10-minute guided breath session. Share the science behind nervous system regulation and performance, and model it yourself. So it's not necessarily about being spiritual, it's about becoming effective. And that shift happens when people realize that these practices don't make you soft, they make you steady. And that's exactly what high stakes leadership requires. And so if this is something that resonates with you, if you really feel like this is something that can help you bring more steadiness, more clarity, more energy to how you lead, whether you're leading yourself, you're leading others, you have influence over other things in your life, that you can bring this steadiness, this clarity, and this energy through yoga. I've got a couple different offerings for you that might help you beyond this particular video. First, I want to say that if you like this video, please make sure that you like it, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with somebody who you think might find it helpful. That's certainly one thing that you can do. But I've also got classes, workshops, resources designed specifically for high performers, leaders, entrepreneurs, people who really just want to feel strong from the inside out and lead with impact on the outside. Okay. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff available for you. You can go to heathermonthie.com/free and find all of my free stuff. But if you're specifically interested more in yoga, I do have a yoga kickstart guide. You can go to yogakickstart.sorellawellness.co. And that's going to be a guide that's going to guide you through some of the postures that we do in some of my yoga classes. As I said earlier, we're in this video, we're certainly not talking about, yoga postures or act like going to a yoga class or anything, but that's certainly part of it. Okay. And so I do have some online Zoom classes, yoga classes that you can take live. You can take them. They're pre-recorded on demand. You can take those as well. So if you just go to sorellawellness.co, it's got my schedule on there. It's got all of my yoga offerings on there as well. And like I said, if you go to my personal blog, heathermonthie.com/free, I've got all sorts of different resources relating to yoga, fitness, nutrition, mindset, corporate wellness, all that good stuff. So I've got a lot of really good information for you. So I hope you find this helpful. And if you haven't read my full blog post on this particular topic, I do have a blog post on my personal blog that I will link in the description. It goes a little bit deeper into the research and the practical strategies. And I've also got the citation for the research article that I referenced in this. It's by Dr. Leila Nadiri. It's called Yoga for Leadership. And so you can check out that research article as well. So I have that link for you in the description as well. So thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments, what is one leadership challenge that you face that you think yoga could help with? So again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with the leader who needs this. Thank you for joining me. My name is Heather. I will see you in the next video.